Hey, what's going on, man? I just got back from hanging out with a couple of buddies, and I wanted to share something with you. By the way, I know you love the parrot wallpaper. So yeah, I was just hanging out with a few buddies of mine, and we were talking about the state of the world and politics and things like that. And he said something, and then I said something to him that made him continue the conversation. I thought, well, I got to share this with you, and I got to share a few more examples of really good questions that help continue conversation. Because in that moment, I realized, wow, this is a question I ask all the time. I ask it to friends. I ask it when I'm talking to Megan. I ask it when I'm talking to people who are interested in coaching. It's a question to get them to explain something more, and it's a great thing to ask in conversation. So I'll tell you what that is right now. Basically, what I say is, how do you mean? Okay, so if someone says something, I say, how do you mean? So I'll get to that in a second, but what I really wanted to do was make this video because I wanted to share with you why it's important to have a couple of questions under your belt to continue conversation. Let me take my jacket off and we'll continue here. So one of the reasons why you want to learn some questions that continue conversation is because you don't want there to be a lull, okay? You don't want there to be some sort of lull in conversation. You don't want there to be dead air. You want to learn this and you want to memorize some of these questions so when you're talking to a girl, you can actually continue conversation in an easy way. The problem is if it comes to a lull and there is dead air, she's going to lose interest, right? She's going to be like, why is this guy talking to me? What's going on? You know, you're making her do all the work when you're probably the one who initially entered the conversation. So you want to have some of these under your belt. Also, what you really want is you want to have a few things to say to continue conversation, because the more time that you spend with the girl, the more she's invested in you, okay? And what's gonna happen is a woman's gonna want a return on her investment. So she's gonna start chasing you because she's been spending more time with you. So the more time you spend with her, the easier it's gonna get for her to be invested, and you can use these questions to do that. So like I said, the first one is, how do you mean, right? I love this question. I literally use it all the time. I use it whenever I'm talking to anyone, and I want you to use it when you're talking to a girl. What it does is it gets them to expound more on what they're saying, okay? So if someone says something to you, you can say, well, how do you mean? And then they'll continue the conversation. 10 times out of 10, whenever I use this, they always continue the conversation. They always go into explanation mode. And real quick, I wanna mention, there was someone who commented the other day and said, Tripp, I don't get it. You said you don't drink, you're lying. Oh, I bet you just say that and something about lying to women. I don't know. Anyways, it's funny because, first of all, I do like to have a nice cocktail every once in a while. I've been getting into mixology lately, so that's why I have that bar cart. And also for you, yes, I do always preach, don't be drinking when you're going out and meeting women, because it's easier to learn the skill of meeting women. It's different having a drink with on a date or with a friend versus getting really wasted and trying to meet women, and then you just kind of mess up the whole process of meeting women because you don't know what you did right, what you did wrong, because you're intoxicated. Okay, I digress. Let's go back to the 3 questions. So the next one you want to ask is, what's that like? Okay, what's that like? This is a great question to use to get them to draw more emotion, okay? So you can draw more emotion out of the conversation, and when you do that, she's going to connect those emotions towards you and start to feel more connected to you. So that's the second question. What's that like? Now, the third question is a little bit different than these other ones, but I wanted to give you a nice range of questions here. So what you're going to say is, whenever you're talking to a girl and she says something, you might, and by the way, you only use this like once in conversation. Don't do this a lot. You can use how do you mean and what's that like pretty often in conversation, but this one is meant for like a one-time thing. You can say to her this: nah, I don't believe you. Really? Okay, so it's exactly like that. No, I don't believe you. Really? Basically, you're challenging her and you're questioning her. Okay, so this is you being playful. So this makes the interaction more playful. Wait, no, I don't believe you. Really? It's questioning her and challenging her to explain to you whatever it is. So let's go through some examples of how these could all look in real conversation here. So let's say you're talking to her and she says, I really like staying home more than going out. Then you can say, really? Well, how do you mean? How do you mean? So she's saying, I really like staying home instead of going out. If you say, how do you mean? She's not going to say, well, how do you mean? How do I mean? Right? She's going to explain, oh, well, I like to stay home because of this and that, and that's the reason why I like to stay home. And when I go out, it's not as fun because whatever it is. This is just an example, right, of you using well, how do you mean, right? Just getting someone to explain something more. It's just like, oh, I'm really more interested in doing this, or I really like this. Oh, how do you mean, right? Gets her to explain more. Now, for an example of what's that like, she might say something to you like, well, I'm a nurse at a retirement home. You go, really interesting. What's that like? What's that like? And it gets her to explain more. So it's kind of similar to how do you mean, but it's just a little bit different because it's getting her to describe things in more detail in terms of going to the more emotional side of things, like how she feels about it. And you want to get her thinking about that, right? So she goes, you go, what's that like? And she goes, well, it's really rewarding, or at times it's hard. So she's getting to speak on how she feels about something. Very powerful. What's that like? Great to use on a first date, by the way. So the next one, the playful one, right? So here's an example. Let's say she says, I'm from Austin, or I'm originally from Chicago or LA. You can go, no, you're not. Really? Or you're questioning. She's like, no, I really am. And you can say, no, I don't think so. You don't seem like an LA type of girl. You don't seem like a girl who would be from Austin, right? You're just being playful. You're challenging her a little bit, and you're showing her that you're not going to just be, oh, cool, that's awesome, and just be really into everything she says. No, you're not really. Or maybe she says, I'm really into going and seeing movies out of the theater, right? Which we can't do right now, really. Well, some people can. So she says, I really like going to the theater and seeing movies. Like, no, you don't. Really? You're just questioning her and you're having fun. This is something that you can use just once, and you can do it in the initial approach, not something necessarily for a first date, although you could do that still. Just something you want to do to get her more chasing you and chasing some of that validation. So I hope that helps. I'm going to actually go record a podcast right now so I can take you into the other room. Real quick, you can go check out my Hooked program. My Hooked program is the program that basically teaches you everything in terms of attraction and investment, and we go deeper into the idea of attracting women and how to do it and different phrases to say to get her attracted to you. So if you want to learn that whole system, just go down to the description and click that link right there, getherhooked.com. Click on that, and then you'll be able to learn more about the program and what it has to offer. There's actually a module in there called Effortless Flirting, where I talk about all the different concepts in terms of how to get a girl attracted using flirting and what to say to her and kind of like the verbal aspect of it all. So go check that out. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.
If you're having trouble meeting hot women in your town and getting them interested in you, then listen up. I have an undetectable way of getting girls instantly attracted to you, even if you're ugly, broke, and live at home with your parents. This system has worked for thousands of guys, and it can work for you too. I teach it in my program called Hooked, where you'll also learn 2 behaviors most men do that instantly destroys any attraction. My 3-step friend zone escape plan to reset her feelings for you and get her liking you. 30 different pre-written texts to send a girl that make her want to meet up with you. And how to have unshakable confidence so you can approach any beautiful woman in any place. If you want to learn this and how to get women hooked on you, then go to getherhooked.com. Again, that's getherhooked.com.